Welcome to the long distance lesson. I hope many of you are reading my analysis of literature books taught in English language and literature in English in Tanzania. It does this to help schools that do not have literature books, as well as to help the students get various knowledge from his teacher and from teacher Karigodoto Njige. Today I have brought you analysis of poems that talk about three fields: social issues, political issues, and economic issues. Why I decided to do this, I'm doing this to make it easier for the students to know which poems talk about many fields. As I mentioned, I'm also doing this so that the students know those poems and the answers, their exams at their level of ordinary level and the advanced level. A student studying literature in English Tanzania, have you read the poem Building the Nation and Eat More? These poems talk about political issues, social issues, and economic issues. In short, they talk about bad leadership. Bad leadership is what leads to conflict in society and the absence of good policies and to defend the weak. That is why Henry Barlow of Building the Nation composed the poems with the aim of criticizing the bad leadership that is not suitable in the society, that leads to selfishness, the misuse of public resources, as well as corruption. Joe Corrie of Eat More composed his poem with the aim of criticizing the powerful government, the evil of leading people by forcing them to eat a balanced diet when they cannot eat full meal. The lower classes remain puzzled by the slogan that urges them to focus on eating more bread, more beef, and more fish. I will analyze these poems one by one. I will start analyzing Building the Nation and then Eat More by Joe Corrie. My name is teacher Karigodoto Njige, the man of literature, the young African writer. The world analyst is also the only analyst who has analyzed more works than other analysts in Tanzania. For example, do you know teacher Hassan Lemunje from Dodoma? Do you know teacher Black from Dodoma? Do you know Vitabu Online from Dar es Salaam? Do you know Jifunze Online from Dar es Salaam and Mbeya? Do you know Mr. Tinga Tinga Africana from Uyore Mbeya? Do you know Mr. Godon Yohana Bayalimo from Kigoma? And do you know Mr. Reginald Bishoza from Kigoma? Those are my fellow analysts of literature in English and English language books. You can visit their accounts and see their work. I have finished the analysis of all the books taught at ordinary level and advanced level, as well as those of universities and neighboring countries. Even the poems of Building the Nation and Eat More, I have analyzed a lot. You can check, but I'm repeating it one more time, and I will continue to repeat it. I'm asking you to listen to the analysis of Building the Nation. The poet is Henry Barlow from Uganda. He composed this poem with the aim of educating the new generation so that it does not get involved with corruption, selfishness, misuse of public funds, exploitation, hypocrisy in the society. He believes through his poem, the new generation, it will be safe and better society in the future. I ask the students to use the knowledge you get through this poem. This poem talks about social issues, how much the society is persecuted by the leaders, regardless. It also talks about the political issues, how the leaders waste the properties of the government and society without informing them. And it is also talks about economic issues. The society seems to be failing to take a step of development because of bad leadership. The students who listen to me, when the question of leadership, corruption, social issues, or political and economic issues come up, use Building the Nation. The title of this poem, Building the Nation, is a unique title. There is no nation construction or building. There is corruption and the waste of government assets for the leaders entrusted to lead the nation. The poet has used the permanent secretary, PS, as a leader who is not responsible to help his people. He is seen harassing the lower class. The poet has also used him, the driver, as a persona of this poem, who tells us the story of the permanent secretary, who uses the driver to take him to pleasure halls and not part of nation. Building is shown being taken into the Vic Hotel. Vic Hotel is one of the biggest hotels in Uganda. Therefore, the persona who speaks of this poem is driver. The poet has used him to show a person from the lower class. The type of poems according to form is modern poem because of an equal number of verses in each stanza. Also, it has the similar sound at the end of each verse. Also, according to content, is narrative poems because it tells the story about permanent secretary as a corrupt leader and driver as the one who exploited by permanent secretary. Dear listener, I don't know if you are following me well. It will be very interesting if you have the poem itself written in your notebook or exercise book. I will not read the poem itself because I have read it a lot in main analysis I have done through my YouTube channel. If you need the poem itself, write Building the Nation by teacher Karigo.njike. You will see it here. Thank you. If you read this poem, how do you see the tone of the poet or persona? The tone of the persona is sarcastic tone. The driver is hurt when he sees the waste of man. He is also surprised by the questions he is being asked by permanent secretary. Has he eaten when he was left in the car? How are you? The listener or reader of this poem how is your mood? I, teacher Kariko Njige, I feel sympathetic because of the hypocrisy of the permanent secretary to the driver, who mocks him for not eating the part. He was demanding for the part of session that is comfortable. The last aspect, I ask you to give a task students. Do it yourself. If you ever listen to the analysis of the poem of Building the Nation, you will be able to answer the elements that I would mention. Teacher, I ask you to write a poem for your students on the blackboard, so that they can answer the elements of poetic devices. If they write that poem, it is very good. Students, do you know the components of structured devices? I mean the number of verses, number of stanza, repetition of words, alliteration, punctuation marks, anaphora, anadipolysis, and the refrain. Are those elements present in the poems? You also know the elements of sound devices such as rhyme, rhythm, alliteration, assonance, consonance, and onomatopoeia. And the last element of poet devices is sense devices, includes all figures of speech, all written devices like metaphor, hyperbole, and personification. Dear listener, I have finished the first poem to analyze Building the Nation. I think you have understood what you need to write in your summary, themes, message, relevance. I have mentioned themes at the beginning of the analysis. I ask your ears to listen again to the second poem, Eat More by Joe Corrie. This poem also touches on social issues, political issues, and economic issues. The poem was written many years ago during the apartheid era in South Africa. During that period, Africans were under the leadership of the under the leadership of the white people. or colonialism. That is white people from Europe. Joe Corrie was a miner. The lifestyle of that period was very difficult because they were under colonial rule. That is why he composed the poem Eat More to condemn the oppression and exploitation of Africans. It reached a point where the government forces the lower class to eat a full meal when they don't have the ability to eat a balanced diet, such as eat a lot of fish, a lot of beef, and eating a lot of bread too. Young people are not employed by the colonial government. Their lives are difficult even though they are forced to do so. Dear listener, if you read books on the history of South Africa, they have gone through great challenges in life. People died of hunger because of difficulty of life caused by bad leadership until today. There are areas in South Africa where they suffer a lot because the fertile land is owned by European people. Joe Corrie composed this poem to criticize the leadership system of the period in 1904, which tortured them a lot, and he composed it with the aims of educating today's generation about bad leadership, rates, and the development of our country. Joe Corrie presented the theme of unemployment, crisis, bad leadership, exploitation, awareness, poverty. Joe Corrie used the persona because of the lower class. That is, the lower class, the young man has not been employed. He has been 3 years now and is married. His life is very difficult because of bad leadership. He is forced to eat a balanced diet when he does not have money to buy fish, beef, and bread. He can to buy vegetables. This poem has really touched the poor community by being forced to eat a balanced diet. The title of this poem, Eat More, is a sarcastic title because it is hurt the respective classes who are not able to buy fish or bread. That is why the persona is surprised to see a poster that says eat more fruit. The slogan says more fish, more beef, more bread. This type of poems, according to form, is traditional poem because they follow the poetic rules of composing poem by following equal number of verses in each stanza. Also, according to content, is a lyric poem because it expresses strong feelings toward exploitation done by government. The tone of the persona is very sad and sympathetic about the irresponsible government. Mood also is sympathetic. Dear listener, I ask you to analyze the poetic devices as I mentioned in the poem of Building the Nation. I end here. Students, I ask you to find colonial poems and cultural poems. I have already analyzed them. Go to Google or YouTube, write colonial or cultural poems by teacher Karigo Njike. You will find them. I have decided to help my fellow Tanzanians who lack materials and those who do not have a shortage of materials. Welcome to Queen of Peace Girls Secondary School, Ndega Tabora. I'm in this school from since 2023 and this year 2024. Also, I'm a graduate of Mwenge Kasori University, Moshi, Kilimanjaro. I have gained knowledge of literature in English from my great teacher, Sospita Bathoa. May God bless him very much. I'm in the country helping the community. For those who need more knowledge about poetry, contact me on WhatsApp at the following number 06 76 86 1579, or you can call number 06 86 96 5470. Thank you for listening to me. God bless very much. Bye.